It's no secret that Star Citizen's development has been a roller coaster of anticipation and frustration. With the Alpha 4.0 update now delayed from Q3 to Q4 of this year, some of us are holding on to the hope that it will finally hit its new deadline, while others are deeply disappointed by yet another delay. And then there are those who saw this coming all along. Today I want to share some personal thoughts of what could be a turning point for Star Citizen's development. These aren't definitive answers, but rather my raw, unfiltered ideas of how CIG could begin to steer this massive project in a better direction. And if by the end of this video you enjoyed this discussion and feel I deserve it, and you would like to see more quality content on Star Citizen, smash that like button and consider supporting the channel by clicking the subscribe button so you can stay informed. Now let's dive in and explore how things might improve post 4.0 and what it might take to keep Star Citizen moving forward. For years, Star Citizen has faced a unique challenge, one that continues to hinder its progress. Unlike most games which are developed in private and only revealed when nearly complete, Star Citizen has been running a live environment since late 2015. I mean, Jared regurgitates this line like he's reciting a meeting he had with Chris Roberts several years ago.
Live environment in the middle of their development.
Live environment in the middle of game development.
In Star Citizen, because we're running a live environment in the middle of our development. Because we are operating a live environment in the middle of our development. We are running a live environment in the middle of our attempt to make the game.
Is that we're running a live environment in the middle of our development.
But I digress. This decision, while ambitious, has introduced significant complications. CIG has to constantly balance the demands of maintaining a live game while also pushing forward with new developments. This juggling act has led to repeated delays, broken features, and a cycle of frustration for both the developers and the community. I mean, you might be frustrated as a player, but imagine being a developer who constantly has to read the many criticisms about a project that you've put years of your figurative blood, sweat, and tears into. I don't envy their position in the slightest. But what if we could break this cycle? What if after the delayed release of 4.0 in Q4, CIG could find a way to stabilize the live environment enough to allow the bulk of the development team to focus on the next big leap forward? This is where my thoughts come in. I believe that if CIG can deliver 4.0 with enough content to keep us engaged and eliminate a reasonable number of game-breaking bugs, it could mark the beginning of a new approach to development, one that could finally get Star Citizen closer to its full potential. While 4.0 is a significant update, it won't introduce entirely new gameplay loops or a vast array of new features. The core elements of the game will remain largely the same. Pyro is undoubtedly exciting, but it's important to temper expectations. After all, if you expect to be disappointed, then maybe one day you'll be surprised when they do something completely out of character and release a patch on time. Too soon? Pyro will largely take the existing gameplay that we've come to know in Stanton and transpose it into a new, likely more dangerous and visually impressive environment. In many ways, Pyro will likely be a better version of Stanton, with richer lore, more challenging encounters, and diverse biomes. But fundamentally, the gameplay won't change much. Ultimately, that would require even more gameplay loops and features to be developed, and that will be much further in the future. Sure, Pyro will introduce jump points and new locations, as well as asteroid bases and contested zones, which will add more layers to the environment. But these are enhancements rather than revolutions in gameplay. The contested zones might offer some new strategic challenges, especially in terms of player interaction. But they won't introduce new gameplay loops that fundamentally change how we interact with the game. The core mechanics of trading, combat, cargo hauling, racing, salvage, and mining will remain very much the same as we've experienced in Stanton. The most significant new gameplay loop coming with 4.0 is engineering gameplay aboard ships. Now, this new feature promises to add depth to ship management, allowing players to engage in more hands-on roles when it comes to maintaining and repairing their vessels. However, outside of this, there won't be any major shifts in how the game is played. It's an important addition, but it doesn't drastically alter the overall experience. This brings me to a hope that I've held for some time now, that Stanton, our current home system, will eventually receive the same level of attention and care that Pyro is getting. The developers have already stated that those same asteroid bases and contested zones coming to Pyro in 4.0 will eventually make their way into Stanton, which is promising. Of course, they would be remiss if they didn't add those features to Stanton, which will be undoubtedly needed shortly after. But I hope this extends to other features unique to Pyro, such as the gameplay that they've added to farms, scrapyards, and trading outposts. These will be exclusive to Pyro when 4.0 launches, including mechanics like using the charge and drain system to repair generators and other items at various homesteads. Seeing these features make their way into Stanton would breathe new life into our existing system, making it feel just as dynamic and engaging as Pyro. Imagine a scenario where post 4.0, the majority of CIG's development resources are no longer tied up in putting out fires. Instead, they're free to work on substantial, long-term improvements. This could finally include adding new gameplay loops that the community has been eagerly awaiting for years. Take Bounty Hunting V2 for example, a feature that's been on the horizon for what feels like forever, but has seen little movement in recent updates. Or how about new exploration gameplay? With systems like Nyx likely already nearing completion, expanding the universe with new, engaging exploration mechanics could provide a fresh and exciting way to experience the verse. In addition, we could see the final version of the reputation system, a feature that would bring more depth and meaning to our interactions and progress within the game beyond what it is now. Alongside this, a completely reworked player beacon and reputation system would provide players with better tools to organize, participate in dynamic events easily, post jobs for other players, and grade each other based on overall performance by providing feedback for other players to use in the future. Other crucial gameplay loops include repair, refuel, and rearming, essential mechanics that would add layers of strategy and survival elements to the game. Refuel, after all, is going to be significantly important in Pyro. So if this feature isn't fixed and updated after 4.0, the main feature that is essential for the Starfarer, they'd be derelict in their duty in this regard. And let's not forget the crafting and blueprint systems that CIG has discussed. These would allow players to create and customize items, ships, and perhaps even structures, adding a whole new dimension to the game. Speaking of structures, a version of base building would be another exciting addition. This could give players a sense of permanence in the universe, allowing them to establish outposts, manage resources, and defend their territory. These are the kinds of changes that could take Star Citizen to the next level, turning it from a game with great potential into one that fully realizes its vision. To achieve this, perhaps the emphasis could shift away from the current model of quarterly updates and focus more on progressing towards the release of version 1.0. By concentrating on this goal, CIG could potentially deliver a more fulfilling and stable experience for players, bringing the game closer to what many of us have been dreaming of for years. However, I'm not advocating for them to stop providing quarterly updates altogether. While this might be a difficult long-term solution, it's one that I would like to hear other perspectives on from the community. Quarterly updates have their place, but perhaps a balance could be struck where the focus is more on the bigger picture, getting the game to a place where it can finally be called complete. It could also pave the way for a smoother transition between larger patch updates. And when Squadron 42 is finally released, the majority of the teams can then actually switch their focus to developing new content and features for Star Citizen. At that point, we will hopefully begin to see the game's development pace increase, as many of us expected earlier this year in 2024. However, I want to be clear, these are just my thoughts. I'm not claiming to have all the answers, and I know that development is far more complex than it appears from the outside. And I'm also not demanding, so let's get that out of the way before someone leaves a comment about how they didn't watch the whole video and claim that I'm demanding that CIG do what I tell them. Let's be honest, we all know that small YouTubers like myself do not have a significant amount of influence. After all, I'm just another guy on the internet. But I do believe that a more focused approach could be the key to breaking the cycle of delays and frustration that has plagued Star Citizen for so long. So where does this leave us? After the delayed 4.0 update is released in Q4 2024, if CIG can provide enough content to keep us engaged and eliminate a decent amount of game-breaking bugs, I think it's time for a change. By implementing a small strike team dedicated to maintaining the live servers and allowing the rest of the development team to focus on the next major update, CIG could finally start making the kind of progress that both they and the community have been longing for. Now, this isn't about abandoning the live environment or reducing transparency with the community. It's about finding a balance that allows for continued development without the constant setbacks that have characterized Star Citizen's journey so far. If CIG can pull this off, it could mark the beginning of a significant change of pace for the game, one where we see more consistent progress and fewer delays. Of course, these are just my personal views, and I'm more than open to hearing what you think. Do you believe that this approach could work? Or do you have other ideas on how CIG can improve their development process? Let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you for watching. If you found this discussion insightful, please like the video and consider subscribing for more quality Star Citizen content that's clear, concise, and offers facts, opinions, and speculation on what the future might bring. If you appreciate the hard work that I put into these videos and want to support the creation of more content like this, then consider becoming a member of the channel. Your support will help keep the discussions going and ensure that I can continue to provide in-depth analysis and updates on Star Citizen's development. And if you're interested in hearing more about my experience with the project over the last 12 years, then check out this video. Fly safe, pilots, and we'll see you in the verse. Havoc out.